Watch Hamas founder's son blow up the entire pro-Palestinian narrative in 15 minutes straight. His own father wants him dead for exposing the truth. But wait until you see what happened when the crowd tried to silence him.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mus'ab Hassan Youssef, for those who don't know me, but I think most of you know who I am.
Order. Please allow the speaker to make a speech in silence. Please show courtesy to the speaker.
I am sentenced by my father to death. He made my blood allowed. Why? Because I reported on suicide bombing attacks that targeted civilians indiscriminately. This is my crime. And guess what? It is not a secret that you discovered. It was my initiative that I revealed myself to public of what I did, because I am not ashamed of saving human lives. You should be ashamed for taking the side of terrorists. Also, I am not going to apologize for reporting Hamas and for reporting terrorists. And know that we will fight anyone who takes the side of terrorists. Hamas is a terrorist organization in the UK, in the United States, in the European Union. And it's not up to you to decide. Sit down. Now listen, only Sheikh Hassan Youssef has the authority and the power to pull the trigger. Not you, not him, not her. Only Sheikh Hassan Youssef, if he has the courage to point the gun at his oldest son and pull the trigger. Anyone else who tried to do that will be dealt with differently. Now, how many of you sitting here want to teach me a lesson about morality? If you knew about October 7 attacks, any of you, raise your hands. If you had information about Hamas attack on October 7, would you report it to the authorities? If you do, raise your hand. Sit down. Less than 5% in this room raised their hands that they would report a massive terrorist attack that targeted civilians indiscriminately. That includes Arabs, Muslims, Jews, Christians, peaceful farming communities on October 7, ethnically cleansing 20 Jewish communities because of their ethnicity and because of their religion. What's happening in Gaza is not the same, because you are the one who's taken the side of terrorists, knowing exactly your role, and you are enjoying it. But at some point, you will have to deal with the consequences, because everything is recorded against you. Now, there come the Palestinians, the most pathetic people on planet Earth.
Is out of order.
Sit down.
The speaker is out of order. If the speaker order, when the chair is making a ruling, the speaker must remain seated. If the speaker repeats this again, I will have to ask them to leave.
They want to delegitimize someone who's born in that land.
A point of order has been raised. It is directed to the chair. A point of order has been raised. I have to hear the point of order. I have to hear the point of order.
Sit down.
Could I hear the point of order from the member?
Order. Sit down.
Order. It is not for you to tell a member to sit down. A point of order is directed to the chair.
Sit down.
Order. 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 Could I hear the point of order from the member for Senate Hall?
Then get out.
Order.
insulted many Palestinians, and I asked him to be escorted out of the chamber in the same manner that a fellow student was escorted out of the chamber when she was alleged to have insulted.
Order. Order. If this is repeated again, I'll have to ask the speaker to leave. The speaker was out of order. Please continue.
What? What? This house has been hijacked by Muslims.
Could I hear the point of order? Could I hear the point of order? Order. Could I hear the point of order? Please have a seat. The point of order is behind you.
What order?
Could I hear the point of order from the member? Could I hear the point of order? Order! Could I hear the point of order? Please state your point of order. Order! Order! Could I please hear the point of order?
The speaker made absolutely no reference to anyone in this chamber. He passed an opinion on his own people. Would he please be allowed to continue to debate, given how important his voice is in this conversation?
Order! 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 I have made my ruling very clear.
What is your ruling? I did not insult anyone in the room.
Order. Order. Could I hear the point of order?
Given that this is a speaker who, once invited by this union, was then attempts being made to prevent him from coming here to speak, and now we have seen that committed again in the course of this speaker speaking, he has a right to freedom of speech, he has a right to speak in this chamber as an invited guest of this union. To order him out as a result of the opinion he has expressed on his own people brings this union into disrepute. It is a moment of betrayal for this chamber.
I have heard your point of order. I have made my ruling very clear. Could the speaker please proceed without making any disparaging references to any population? Please continue.
They want to delegitimize my right to exist because I oppose their violent ideology. Then they want to cry day and night of a victim. Please sit down.
I have to hear the point of order.
Insulting Zionists, Israelis, Israel being a nationality.
I've heard the point of order. You have seen a member being asked to leave the chamber before on a different side of the chamber. I have made sure that people from both sides of the chamber are allowed to make their speeches and that they're allowed to be heard. Could I please allow the speaker to finish without any further points of order?
Okay.
Please continue.
All the interruptions are not going to help the situation. You'll have to face the reality and the truth the way it is. I was born in that land. It's my birthright. And I was born, sit down, and I was born as an Arab. I was not born as Palestinian, like millions of Arab children. And the Palestinians have been pushing the Palestinian violent indoctrination based on false narrative of apartheid, colonialism, genocide, occupation. While Palestine never existed as a sovereign country, it never existed except as a colonial entity. And the joke on the Palestinians that they actually claim to be indigenous of the land, fighting against colonialism, while they choose a colonial entity as their national identity. How pathetic is that? I find it really unbelievable that the Palestinians continue spreading this lie and millions of people around the world are believing them. If you ask them what is Palestine, sit down. If you ask them what is Palestine, they don't know how to answer. If you ask them what makes a Palestinian Palestinian, they don't know how to answer. Stop, interrupt me, sit down. We heard you. Sit down. Stop, interrupt me, and listen. Now, their strategy, and this is what need to be discussed here on the floor tonight, is the use of human shield and the evil practice of sacrificing children for political and financial gain. This is the mastery of the Palestinians. This is what they've been doing. They want the children, the Arab children, to continue carrying the burden of their sick indoctrination for eternity. Then a bunch of people come here crying as victims or as the saviors of the Gaza children. And I tell them, who authorized you even to speak on behalf of the children of Gaza? If you want to dismantle the apartheid state, he wants to dismantle the apartheid state, and none of you paid attention of how dangerous that. This means he wants to dismantle the state of Israel. This is what he wants to do. And that means the ethnic cleansing of the only Jewish state. Don't interrupt me and listen. What he wants to wipe out a nation, the most ancient nation in the Middle East, the most authentic nation in the Middle East, the only Jewish state on the planet, and he wants from the children of Gaza to do the job on his behalf, on behalf of his political ambition. And I tell him, why don't you go carry a rifle and fight the apartheid state? Why the children of Gaza supposed to fight on your behalf and on behalf of your righteousness? You are not the savior. This is a very severe state of mental illness that you think that you are the savior of Gazan children, because you are not the savior. And all. Now, they talk about genocide. Israel sent leaflets, millions of text messages. They've made phone calls. They gave safe passages to people to evacuate war zone. While Hamas embedded under schools, hospitals, they did not leave any sacred zone for the civilians to evacuate to safety. Then they booby-trapped the entire area. And Israel had to send its foot soldiers to suffer additional casualty on the top of October 7, while they had the capacity to carpet bomb the entire Gaza Strip. If their intention, you've never been to Gaza, you don't know what you're talking about, so sit down. After the war, what was the day? Where did you go? After the war? After October 7?
Order. Can the speaker desist from addressing other members? Okay. Order. Can the speaker please be heard? Could I please ask the member from Saladin Hall to desist? Please conclude your speech.
Israel did, for those who are here to listen, by the way, it's very, very important. And I will remind you at some point in the future, when we look back at this time of confusion and the push of the Palestinian violent indoctrination, they are going to hit a dead end eventually. But here, let me be a witness to history and to you. Israel did everything within their ability to minimize the civilian casualty in Gaza. While Hamas did everything in their ability to maximize the civilian casualty.
The speaker will be heard.
Hamas did everything within their ability to maximize the civilian casualty for political and financial gain, for global sympathy, and they succeeded of fooling so many people. But this is not going to change the reality on the ground, because Hamas does not care for the Arab children. Hamas does not care for the Jewish children. Arabs and Jews, yes, your insults can challenge or defy my truth. Arabs and Jews can get along. I have faith in that. Arabs, we are an ethnic group. We were way before Islam came to the region. We were way before the Palestinians came to the region. And by the way, the Palestinian history started in 1964 with a keffiyeh and the Palestinian flag. This is their heritage. That's all they have. And we are not Palestinians. We are Arabs. This is our language. This is our culture. And we will continue way after the Palestinian thugs who came to hijack our society with their sick indoctrination and victim narrative. The victim narrative. This is not representing who we are. We are resilient. We don't accept to be victims. Israel will be our strategic friend. And we will get along. Kurds, Jews, Arabs, Druze, and the rest of the region. And I hope that the Palestinians will know their place in history, nothing but a false identity. This is who they are, and this is how they are going to end.
Order, 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 order.
Let me tell you something about that video that really gets under my skin. I've studied this conflict extensively, and watching these pro-Hamas supporters try to silence Musab Hassan Youssef with their rehearsed talking points makes my blood boil. Less than 5% would report a terrorist attack. Think about that for a minute. These are the same people who have the audacity to lecture others about morality while they'd stay silent about mass murder. I'm looking at the archaeological evidence right here. The Merneptah stele from 1208 BCE clearly mentions Israel by name. I keep asking these protesters, where's your ancient Palestinian state? They can't answer because it never existed. I've spent years going through historical records, and let me tell you what really destroys their colonial narrative. The Ottoman Empire's population registers from 1519 to 1922. I've studied every single one of them. Never once mention a Palestinian national identity. Not once. They listed people as Muslims, Christians, or Jews. And here's something that really exposes their lies. During the British Mandate, the term Palestinian included Jews. The Palestine Post was literally a Jewish newspaper. You know what really infuriates me? These protesters trying to silence Youssef are using the exact same playbook I've seen them use against other Arab critics of Hamas. Remember what they did to Noni Darwish, to Wafa Sultan? The same pattern, shouts, disruptions, anything to stop the truth from getting out. Let's talk about Hamas's tactics that these protesters defend, because I've documented every single one of them. The IDF found Hamas command centers under Al-Shifa Hospital built with 300 tons of concrete. I did the math. That's enough to build 86 homes. They found weapons stored in schools, and get this, UNRWA itself had to admit finding rockets in their schools in 2014. Yet when I confront these protesters about Hamas using children as human shields, they suddenly go quiet. I've personally reviewed the Ottoman land records, and they tell a very different story than what these protesters claim. In 1875, Jews were the largest religious group in Jerusalem. That's documented fact. The 1845 Ottoman census showed substantial Jewish populations across the region. I keep challenging them. Show me evidence of this ancient Palestinian sovereignty you claim existed. They can't, because it didn't. You want to know what really reveals their dishonesty? Watch how they tried to shut down Youssef's speech with procedural tricks. Point of order? Give me a break. For what? Telling the truth about Hamas's use of human shields. I've read the UN's own reports documenting Hamas launching rockets from civilian areas. These aren't opinions, these are recorded facts. I've spent decades studying the Arab world's ancient history, and let me tell you something, it completely demolishes their false narrative. I've read the ancient Nabatean inscriptions, the pre-Islamic poetry, the Roman records. They all show diverse Arab tribal identities. But guess what's missing? Any mention of a Palestinian nation. The Palestinian identity they're so proud of is younger than Coca-Cola. Let me tell you why Youssef's story about his father threatening to kill him hits me so hard. These are the same moderates. They claim exist in Hamas, a father willing to murder his son for preventing terrorism. I've documented case after case of this kind of extremism, yet these protesters have the nerve to lecture about morality. The genetic studies these Hamas supporters conveniently ignore? I've analyzed every single one of them. The 2020 study in Cell showed Jewish populations maintain genetic continuity with the Levant for over 2,000 years. I keep asking them, where's your evidence for this ancient Palestinian nation? Still waiting for an answer. You know what really tells me everything I need to know about their agenda? Watch how they couldn't answer his basic questions. What is Palestine? What makes someone Palestinian? Instead of answers, all I hear is shouting. Why? Because they know their claimed history is built on sand. I've examined the archaeological record myself. It shows Jewish civilization everywhere. Coins, seals, inscriptions, the evidence is overwhelming. But when I ask them about ancient Palestinian artifacts, ancient Palestinian kings, ancient Palestinian cities, suddenly they're at a loss for words. The way they treat Yusuf makes my blood boil. This man literally saved lives by reporting planned suicide bombings. Yet they want him silenced. I've seen this pattern over and over. They can't handle the truth, so they try to shut it down. And don't even get me started on their selective outrage. I've documented countless cases of Hamas using civilian infrastructure for military purposes. The tunnel networks under Gaza schools and hospitals, I've mapped them out. Some reach depths of 30 to 40 meters. That construction cost millions that could have gone to civilian infrastructure. But when I bring this up, they suddenly don't want to talk about Palestinian welfare anymore. The historical evidence they try to suppress infuriates me. I've studied the pre-1948 documents extensively. The Arab Higher Committee's own words expose their agenda. They rejected every partition plan, including the UN's proposal that would have given them far more land than they're demanding now. Yet they play victim while concealing their own leaders' rejectionism. What really gets me is their manipulation of casualty statistics. I've analyzed the numbers they throw around, and here's what they don't tell you. Hamas counts their own combatants as civilians. They include casualties from their own misfired rockets. And they never mention how many casualties could have been avoided if they hadn't rejected Israel's evacuation warnings. Their constant interruptions of Yusuf expose their true nature. They can't engage with his arguments, so they try to silence him. I've seen this exact same tactic used against other Arab critics of Hamas. Bassem Eid, Mohammed Zoabi, the list goes on. They can't handle Arabs who don't fit their narrative of perpetual victimhood. The evidence for Jewish indigenous status is overwhelming. I've studied every major archaeological discovery from the region. The Dead Sea Scrolls, the Siloam inscription, the Bar Kokhba letters, all prove continuous Jewish presence. Yet they have the audacity to claim Jews are colonizers? The historical record demolishes their propaganda. I've examined the founding documents of the PLO from 1964. They explicitly excluded Gaza and the West Bank from their territorial claims because those areas were under Arab control. Only after 1967 did they suddenly decide these areas were occupied Palestine. The cynical manipulation of history is astounding. The economic evidence also exposes their lies. I've analyzed the flow of international aid to Gaza, billions of dollars that could have built infrastructure, schools, hospitals. Instead, Hamas built terror tunnels and bought weapons. Yet these protesters blame Israel for Gaza's poverty while ignoring Hamas's role in perpetuating it. Their reaction to Yusuf's speech is exactly why we need to keep speaking out. Every time they try to silence voices like his, they reveal their true agenda. They don't want peace or coexistence. They want the elimination of Israel, and they'll use any means to achieve it. But as long as brave voices like Yusuf keep speaking truth to power, their propaganda won't prevail. The media won't show you this kind of raw truth. Hit subscribe and the notification bell right now to see more explosive content they don't want you to see. Share this video before it gets taken down.